I booked the Airbnb because it looked normal, almost boring, the kind of place you scroll past 100 times before choosing it because nothing feels wrong. A quiet two-story house in a small American town I'd never heard of, tucked between pine trees and a cracked asphalt road where no cars passed after sunset. And when the host messaged me, his tone was polite but oddly stiff, like someone trying very hard not to say too much, thanking me for choosing his place, giving me the Wi-Fi password, check-in instructions, and then adding one final line that didn't match the rest of the message at all. One small request. Please do not open the basement door. No explanation, no emoji, just that sentence, and I remember laughing it off, assuming it was some weird storage thing or a liability issue, because Americans put warnings on everything. And when I arrived just before dusk, the house looked exactly like the photos. White siding, porch light flickering slightly, a flag hanging limp in the still air, and inside it smelled faintly of old wood and lemon cleaner, the kind of smell that tells you someone cleaned recently but not thoroughly. And the basement door was impossible to miss, painted a dull gray, slightly warped at the bottom, with a deadbolt lock installed on the outside, which struck me as strange because basements usually lock from the inside if at all. But again, I ignored it, unpacked my bags, ordered takeout, and settled in for the night, and that's when I noticed. The first thing that bothered me, the house was too quiet, not peaceful quiet, but the kind of silence that feels padded, like sound is being absorbed before it can travel. No distant traffic, no insects, no whine through the trees, just my own movements echoing faintly. And when I turned on the TV for background noise, the signal kept cutting out every few minutes, replaced by a brief burst of static that sounded almost like breathing if you listened too closely. And I didn't sleep well that night because around 2:17 a.m., I woke up to a soft, rhythmic thumping coming from below the floor, slow and deliberate, not pipes, not footsteps, more like something heavy shifting its weight, and it stopped the moment I sat up in bed, leaving behind a pressure in my ears. The next morning I messaged the host casually, asking if there was something stored in the basement that might make noise at night, and his reply came back almost instantly, please don't worry about it. Just remember the rule, and that should have been enough for me to pack my things and leave. But curiosity has a way of growing teeth once it latches onto you, and throughout the day I noticed small details that hadn't registered before. The basement door had fresh scratch marks near the handle, deep grooves in the paint like something had clawed at it repeatedly. The air near the door was colder than the rest of the house, and there was a faint smell that reminded me of damp soil mixed with metal. And when night came again, the sounds returned, louder this time, accompanied by something worse, a voice, muffled and distorted, calling my name, not shouting, not pleading, just repeating it calmly, as if it already knew I was listening. And I stood frozen in the hallway, heart hammering, telling myself it was my imagination, maybe sound traveling strangely through the vents, until the voice said something it couldn't possibly know. A detail from my childhood I had never told anyone. There, and that was when I noticed the basement door was no longer fully closed, the deadbolt still locked, but the door itself slightly ajar, just enough for darkness to leak out like ink spreading in water. And I don't know how long I stood there before I heard my phone buzz with a new message from the host. If it speaks to you, do not answer. My hands were shaking as I typed back asking what was in the basement, and this time there was a delay. Nearly 5 minutes. Long enough for the voice to start whispering again, closer now, right behind the door, mimicking my own tone perfectly, until the reply finally came. It used to be a guest, and my stomach dropped as memories of the listing flashed through my mind. The lack of reviews older than a few months, the way every review praised how quiet the house was, how isolated it felt, and I demanded more answers. But the host stopped responding entirely, and around 3 a.m., the power went out, plunging the house into darkness so complete I couldn't see my own hands. And that's when the basement door started to move, slowly creaking open against the deadbolt as if something on the other side was testing it, learning how much force it could apply without breaking the rule entirely. and the voice began to beg, sounding exactly like me now, panicked, terrified, saying it was trapped, that the host was lying, that the only way to stop it was to open the door fully, and I covered my ears, backed away, locked myself in the bathroom, and stayed there until morning, when sunlight finally returned and the house felt normal again, too normal, as if nothing had happened at all, and I decided to leave immediately, not even bothering to shower. But when I opened the app to cancel the rest of my stay, the listing was gone, the host profile deleted, and when I tried to call customer support, my signal dropped the moment I mentioned the address, so I packed my car and drove to the nearest gas station, where I asked the cashier about the house, and the color drained from his face as soon as I described it, because according to him, that house hadn't been rented legally in years, ever since a missing person case that was never solved, a guest who vanished after complaining about noises from the basement, and when the police finally searched the place, they found the basement empty except for scratch marks on the walls and a door that locked from the outside, and as I drove away, trying to convince myself it was over, my phone buzzed one last time with a message from an unknown number that simply read, "Thank you for not opening the door. It needs new rules now," and that's when I realized something was sitting in the back seat of my car, breathing softly, patiently, waiting for me to make another mistake.